So a few months after I left, they actually split the mission into Utah Provo and Utah Orem mission. But when I served, we covered Utah County, and then up toward, and it kind of went, and then so basically pointed the mountain south to Goshen, and then we kind of went up to Heber. So we went through the pass to Heber, then we went from Heber to about 3 hours east of here to a place called Vernal. That's a town in the middle of the eastern Utah desert. That the only thing that's really comes out of there is oil, and so and that was 3 hours east. And so there were a lot of stakes. I heard the number of stakes many times, but because it was somewhere in like the 300 range, I don't remember exactly how many stakes there are. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere in my journal, but I do not remember. But there's somewhere upward in the 300 range. Hispanic units, there were about 20 Hispanic wards in Utah itself, not Utah, in Provo itself. And then there was 10 in Orem. And then south, we had, I think there was another 4 south of Orem. And I think there was 2 from Linden beyond, I believe. From Linden and beyond was only sisters, so I never got to go that far north. But it was only Spanish sisters. And then out in Vernal, they have a Spanish branch that's kind of out in the Vernal Roosevelt area. And so I had the privilege of serving in, how many areas did I serve in? Freedom, Lake Ridge, Springville. I served in 6 of the Spanish branches, and then my last 2 transfers actually spent English. So I served in an English stakeout in Vernal. But I served in Provo twice. I served in Orem twice, and then I served in Springville, and then I spent 3 glorious days in the branch of Vernal out there before they switched me over into the English area. And so, but yeah, other interesting facts. We have quite a few temples. At the time I was there, we had the Timpanogos Temple, the Provo Temple, the Vernal Temple, and then, of course, the Payson Temple and the Provo City Center Temple were under construction. All Utah missions were allowed to go once every 3 months. When we started, we could go twice a month to the temple, but then it became once every 3 months we could go to the temple as either a district or just a companionship. We had to pick which one we wanted to do. So I was able to go through all of the temples that were open before I got home, because Payson opened like a month after I got home, and then the Provo City Center Temple, of course, opened just a while ago. But so that's a cool fact. One of the most common challenges that people who go less active, is what's happened to be, the culture of the church. I can't count how many times that I walked into someone's home and was, talking to them, and they were like, and they would say, I used to go to church every week, and then I left because Sister so-and-so said such and such thing about me. Or there were quite a few people who would not go to church because they didn't want to, because they didn't like the culture, because they were like, it's just too, self-righteous, things like that. And, and when it came to those people, honestly, you just had to trace back to when they stopped reading their scriptures or stopped saying their prayers or something just small like that. That's what led to them. But that was a big thing. I had one ward where a lot of people had gotten less active because the bishop got up on the pulpit and said something once, and that offended a bunch of people, and they all left. And so that's most of the time what you find a lot of people going less active here in Provo, is because they got offended over something. Someone said something, or someone did something, so-and-so didn't include my kid in such and such thing, and so they left the church, which is really sad, to see, because, one thing that we got told often is we would get visits from 70s is that the church would test out a lot. The church would test out a lot of stuff in Provo, because they're like, if Provo is a big, almost the heart of the church. It's most members are gathered there. It's where BYU is. So if something doesn't work in Provo, we're gonna have a hard time getting it to work anywhere else. So they did a lot of tests. We were actually the first mission to have a district that tested out the iPads. And then we were the 8th mission to officially have all our missionaries have iPads. And that was a very interesting challenge in and of itself. I'm just, now they have a program that teaches, missionaries before they get into the field how to use iPads. But they just kind of handed it to us and said, go fly, be free. And we were just like, what do we do with these things? And those were very useful, having, testing those out, and, they, be able to use videos to augment our teaching, and to grab the attention of people. So that was a cool fact about the Utah mission, is that it was one of the first missions to start using iPads.